My name is Maya, and in my family, I was always the quiet one standing behind the star, my sister Sarah. Sarah was the child everyone talked about. She won debate contests. She led school events. She spoke like a future CEO. And every time she opened her mouth, my parents looked at her with proud eyes. I was the opposite. I liked computers. I liked building small apps on my old laptop. I liked working silently, without showing anything off. But in my house, silence was treated like weakness. At family dinners, Mom always said, "Sarah thinks big. She will do something great." Dad nodded and added, "She understands real business." They praised her so loudly that I felt smaller every time. When I earned my first money from fixing websites, I felt proud. But Mom laughed and said, "That's cute, Maya. Just pocket money." Dad told me, "You should focus on real subjects. Follow Sarah's path." I stayed quiet, even when the words hurt. When college came, Sarah went to Harvard Business School. Everyone celebrated like she had won a national award. Mom cried with joy. Dad took her out for a special dinner. I went to a simple state college for computer science. No big celebration.
No excitement.
Just a short, "good luck," and that was it. Every holiday, Sarah talked for hours about her fancy internships and powerful contacts. Mom and Dad listened like she was teaching the world how to live. When I talked about my coding projects, the room went silent. Someone changed the topic. Someone praised Sarah again. That was my place. The quiet sister. The background character. But what they didn't know was this. Their quiet daughter was building something real. Something they would never expect. College changed a lot for Sarah, but it changed even more for me. Sarah became the family hero the moment she walked into Harvard. My parents introduced her like she was a celebrity. "This is Sarah," Mom would say proudly. "She's at Harvard Business School." People clapped. People asked questions. People admired her. When it was my turn, Mom always said, "And this is Maya. She studies computers somewhere." Somewhere. Like my college didn't even matter. I didn't argue. I kept learning. I kept building. Every night in my small dorm room, I created apps, fixed bugs, and took freelance work to survive. And slowly, quietly, my skills became better than I ever imagined. But my family still couldn't see it. Sarah came home every few months with stories about big meetings and smart business people. Dad listened to her like she was teaching him secrets of success. Mom smiled like Sarah was made of gold. When I talked about finishing a project or getting a client, the room felt cold. Someone always said, "That's good," and then changed the topic. After graduation, Sarah launched her own startup. The family treated it like she had opened the next Apple or Amazon. Newspapers wrote about her. LinkedIn filled with praise. Dad said, "Sarah will change the industry." I also started my own path. A small software consultancy. It wasn't loud. It wasn't shiny. But companies trusted me because I solved real problems. My income grew quietly month after month. But no one in my family knew. No one asked. They just assumed I was struggling. The sister who plays with computers. Meanwhile, Sarah's startup was falling apart behind all the big smiles.
Too many mistakes.
Too much spending. Too little planning. But the family didn't see the truth. And they had no idea who was watching everything from the shadows. Sarah's startup looked perfect on the outside, but on the inside, things were breaking. Her team kept missing deadlines. Her product had problems. Her money was disappearing faster than she expected. But my parents refused to see any of it. "Every new business struggles," Mom said proudly. "Sarah will figure it out. She always does." Dad added, "She has strong investors behind her." They didn't know the truth. They didn't know that Sarah's investors were actually scared. They didn't know that the company was losing money every month. They didn't know that Sarah was making one bad choice after another. And they didn't know that I was watching everything quietly. While Sarah held big launch events, I sat in my small home office, building software for companies who paid me well.
No loud announcements.
No big photos. No press. Just quiet, steady work. My clients trusted me. They returned again and again. My income kept growing.
My skills kept growing.
My confidence kept growing.
But my life still looked simple from the outside.
I wore normal clothes. I drove an old car. I lived in a small apartment. And that helped, because no one suspected anything. Sarah still talked to me like I was a child playing with computers. She never asked about my work. She never wondered how I was paying my bills. She never imagined that her weak sister knew more about business than she did. But then, everything changed. Sarah's company reached a point where it needed a huge amount of money to survive. Her first investors were losing patience. Her bank account was shrinking. And Sarah needed help. Real help. The kind of help only one person could give. The person she believed was the weakest in the family.
Me.
The day everything shifted was a quiet Sunday afternoon. I was at home, finishing a project for one of my clients, when my phone lit up with Sarah's name. She rarely called me. Most of the time, she just sent short messages or ignored me completely. I stared at the phone for a moment and then answered. Her voice sounded tight, like she was trying not to panic. Hey, Maya, do you have a minute?
I said yes.
There was a long pause. Then she finally spoke. My company, we're having some problems. Problems. She said the word like it was small, but I knew it wasn't. Sarah continued. We need a new investor. A big one. Someone who believes in the future of the company. I didn't say anything. I let her speak. She took a shaky breath. I was thinking maybe you know someone in tech? Someone you've worked with? Someone who could help. I almost smiled, not out of joy, but out of the quiet irony. All these years, she thought my work was small. She thought I had no real contacts. She thought I played with computers for fun. Now she wanted help from the same world she never respected. I kept my voice calm. What kind of help do you need? She hesitated, embarrassed. We need around 80 million, maybe more. 80 million. The number didn't scare me, but it scared her. She added quickly, I know it sounds big. I know it's a lot. But we can't survive without it. The company will fall apart. Her voice cracked on the last words. For the first time, Sarah didn't sound like the confident star of the family. She sounded human. She sounded scared. And she had no idea who she was really talking to. I didn't answer Sarah right away. For a moment, I just listened to her breathing on the phone. Fast, shaky, nothing like the confident voice she always showed the world. Then she said softly, Maya, please. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious. It was strange hearing her say please. This was the same sister who once told me my life wasn't real. That my work was cute. That I didn't understand anything about business. Now she was depending on me without even knowing it. I kept my tone steady. What exactly happened? Sarah sighed. We grew too fast. Too big. Investors want results, and we didn't reach the numbers. They're pulling out. I could hear the fear behind her words. The fear of losing everything she had built. The fear of disappointing our parents. The fear of failing publicly. She continued, I thought maybe you could talk to someone who trusts you. Someone who might invest. I looked around my apartment, the quiet space I paid for with my own work, my own late nights, my own slow steps forward. Sarah had no idea that the someone she was begging for was actually me. I whispered, I don't know if I can help. She rushed in quickly. You can. I know you know people. You work with companies, right? Tech people? Investors? I almost laughed at the irony. All these years, she never asked what I actually did. Never listened. Never cared. And now she needed me more than she even understood. After a long pause, I finally said, let me think about it. Her relief was instant.
Thank you, Maya.
Really? You might save my company. But she didn't know the truth. I wasn't thinking about saving her company. I was thinking about finally telling her who I really was. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. But not because I wanted to help Sarah. Because I needed to understand my own feelings. I made coffee, sat by the window, and thought about everything. For years, I was the quiet sister, the ignored one, the one they never believed in. Sarah was the star, the leader, the one everyone trusted. And now she was falling and asking me for help. Part of me felt sorry for her. Part of me remembered every moment she made me feel small. But most of all, I felt something new, a kind of power I had never experienced. My phone buzzed. It was Sarah again. "Morning, did you think about what we talked about?" Her message felt heavy. I typed, "I need more information." Within minutes, she called. Her voice cracked as she explained, "Our investors pulled out. We don't have enough money for the next months. If I don't find someone fast, the company shuts down." I stayed silent, letting her talk. She continued, "I know you're not rich, Maya, but maybe you could talk to someone? Someone who believes in you." I looked at my reflection in the window. The woman who built her own life quietly, passed every test alone, and grew without applause. If only Sarah knew how wrong she was about me. She didn't know I had savings. She didn't know I had investments. She didn't know I worked with big companies. She didn't know I earned more than she ever imagined. She didn't know that I could actually save her entire company myself. But she also didn't know something deeper. I wasn't sure I wanted to.
Not yet.
I ended the call by saying, "I'll get back to you." But inside, something had already changed. I was no longer the sister who sat beside the wall at weddings. I was the sister who finally had the choice. 2 days passed before I called Sarah again. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I needed time to see the truth clearly. And the truth was simple. My whole life, I had chased a family that never chose me. Now suddenly, they needed me, but only because they were sinking. When I finally decided to call, I heard panic in Sarah's voice the moment she picked up.
"Maya?
"Did you find anyone? Please tell me you did." Her words came out fast, rushed, desperate. I took a slow breath. "Sarah, I need to understand everything before I talk to anyone." She exhaled shakily. Okay. What do you want to know?" For the first time ever, she was answering my questions, not ignoring them. I asked softly, "How bad is it?" There was a long pause. "It's worse than I told you," she whispered. "We're behind on bills. We can't pay our team. If we don't get money this week, I lose everything." Her voice broke. "Maya, I worked so hard for this. I can't let it die." For a moment, my heart softened. She sounded like a child who finally understood she wasn't invincible. But then I remembered the years of silence, the humiliation at family dinners, the time she laughed when I got my first job, the way she always treated me like I was less. I stayed calm. "Sarah, why come to me?" Her answer was quiet, honest, and painful. "Because you're the only one who listens. And you always figure things out, even if no one saw it." Those words hit me harder than I expected. For the first time, Sarah wasn't talking down to me. For the first time, she was admitting she needed me.
But she still didn't know
just how much power I actually had. And I wasn't sure she was ready to hear it. That evening, I sat alone on my couch, staring at the soft lights outside my window. Sacramento looked calm, almost peaceful. But inside me, a storm was building. For years, my family acted like I wasn't capable of anything, like I was weak,
like I needed them.
But now, the roles were reversing, and no one was ready for it.
My phone buzzed again.
It was Sarah. "Maya, please. I know we weren't close. I know I wasn't a perfect sister. But I don't want to lose everything I built." Her message stayed on the screen for a long time. I typed slowly. "I haven't decided yet." I could almost feel her panic through the quiet space of my apartment. Just then, another message came from my mother. "Maya, help your sister. Don't make this harder. Family sticks together." Her words didn't hurt anymore. They sounded empty, like lines she repeated without thinking. I put my phone down and walked to my small desk where my laptop sat. With one click, my entire life opened in front of me. My savings, my investments, my income history, my credit score, my financial charts. The screen didn't show a broken girl who once sat on a hallway chair. It showed a woman who rebuilt her entire life alone. A woman who learned to grow quietly. A woman who survived without being seen. A woman who earned her place. A woman who now had enough power to save an entire company or let it fall. I whispered to myself, maybe it's time they finally know who I am. But I wasn't going to decide based on anger or guilt or old wounds. If I helped Sarah, it would be because I chose to, not because they demanded it. And for the first time, that choice belonged to me alone. The next morning, I woke up with a strange calm inside me. The kind you feel when you finally stop running from your past. I made coffee, opened my blinds, and let the sunlight fill my apartment. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like the forgotten sister. I felt steady. Halfway through my coffee, my phone rang. It was Sarah. Her voice was shaking from the moment she said hello. Maya, the board wants answers. Investors are leaving. I don't know what to do anymore. I closed my eyes for a second. This was the same sister who once laughed at my job, ignored my achievements, and treated me like background noise. Now she was depending on me, like I was the only person left in her corner. What are you asking from me? I said softly. She took a long breath. I need someone who believes in me. Someone who can help me talk to investors, maybe even bring in someone who trusts you. She still had no idea I could write a check bigger than any investor she ever met. But I didn't tell her that.
Not yet.
Then she whispered something I never expected to hear. Maya,
I'm sorry.
I froze. Sarah never apologized. Not once in her entire life. She continued, voice cracking. I know I wasn't good to you. I know I hurt you. I didn't think I needed you. And now, I don't know who else to call. Her honesty hit me in a place I didn't know was still tender. For a moment, I saw not the confident, perfect sister, but a scared woman watching her dream fall apart. I'll think about it, I said quietly. And I meant it. But as I ended the call, I realized something important. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about finally stepping out of the shadow she put me in and standing in my own light. The next day, I went to work early. I needed the noise of the office, the soft hum of printers, the sound of people moving with purpose. It reminded me of the life I built, a life no one in my family ever saw. Around lunch, my phone buzzed again. This time it was my father. His message was short. Talk to your sister. She's falling apart. Fix this. Fix this. Like I had broken something. Like I was the cause of every problem. For a moment, the old hurt rose inside me. All the years of being ignored. All the times they chose Sarah over me. All the moments I sat quietly while they laughed at my dreams. But that past didn't control me anymore. I placed my phone face down and continued working. Later that evening, as I walked home through the cool Sacramento air, I replayed Sarah's apology in my mind. Her voice, her fear, her honesty. It wasn't enough to erase years of pain, but it was real. And that mattered. When I reached home, I finally opened my laptop. I stared at my financial dashboard, the savings I built, the investments I managed, the numbers no one ever imagined I could achieve. I could save her company if I wanted to, not as a little sister, not as family backup, but as someone who earned the strength to make real decisions. Just then, Sarah called again. I answered quietly. What is it? Her voice was soft, almost broken. Maya, the board said if I don't find funding in 48 hours, they'll shut everything down. I didn't speak. She whispered, I know I don't deserve your help, but you're the only person I trust now. For the first time in years, my silence held power, and the choice in front of me felt heavier than anything I had ever carried. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, thinking about the girl I used to be, the one who sat alone in hallway chairs, the one no one picked, the one who waited for her family to see her. But I wasn't that girl anymore. And I wasn't going to make this decision from pain. I opened my laptop again and looked at my numbers. I had enough money to help Sarah. Enough to save her company. Enough to change everything. But saving her wasn't the real question. The real question was simple. Did I want to? The next morning, I asked Sarah to meet me at a small cafe near my office. When she walked in, she looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. No confidence. No perfect smile. Just fear. She sat down slowly. Maya, I don't know what to say anymore. Her voice trembled. I waited. She finally whispered, I'm sorry for the way I treated you. All those years. I hurt you. You didn't deserve that. Her eyes filled with tears. And now I'm sitting here asking the sister I ignored to save the life I built. Her honesty settled in the air between us, soft and heavy. I took a deep breath. Sarah, I said, I don't want revenge. I don't want you to fail. But I also won't erase everything you did to me. She nodded, tears falling. I continued gently. If I help, it'll be on my terms. Not as your forgotten sister. Not as someone you talked down to. But as someone who earned her place. Sarah whispered, I understand. I slid a folder across the table. Inside were clear instructions, new conditions, and a plan that would save her company. If she agreed to every point. Her hands shook as she opened it. Maya, this could save everything. Yes, I said quietly. But only if you finally see me. For the first time in our lives. She looked at me with real respect. Not pity. Not superiority. Respect. And in that moment, I knew one thing for certain. I didn't need a hallway seat anymore. I had finally built my own table.